Good evening, y'all. This is your host, Legendary Onyx, and we want to welcome you to Tour With Me. Today, we're bringing you an exciting, an amazing, and inviting show with leaders from two of Chicago's LGBTQ plus focused organizations, Brave Space Alliance and Life is Work. Today, we're going to have some discussion focused on the experience of our transgender community, and we'll talk about the political climate, and as usual, we'll do some other things like hot topics, talk about sex, kink, and all the stuff in between. Today, I'm sitting with two amazing guests. Shannon, because I'm going to say it right, Parker, and Zahara Bassett. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you kindly. So we just, today's show, we're talking about, whether you know or not, the month of November, the week of November 13th through the 19th is Transgender Awareness Week. And the goal is for the transgender community to be increased in their understanding of people and the trans experience and everything in between. Transgender Awareness Day of Remembrance, which is this Wednesday, November 20th, is a day to memorialize victims of the transphobic community and violence. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
We also, one of the things we did not discuss is how, and that we probably will get to later, about how it's definitely prevalent in communities that are Black and brown. So not only do we have amazing guests, but we got this toy box. We'll get to the toy box a little bit later, but before we get to that, can you beautiful people introduce yourselves and tell us about your organization, some things that you do in the community?
Okay, all right, sure, I'll go. Well, again, hey everybody, I am Shannon, Shannon Lynn Parker, she, her pronouns. So I'm the CEO of a nonprofit on the south side of Chicago called Brave Space Alliance. We are an LGBTQ plus organization that focuses on 4 pillars of dignity: health, housing, food, and identity. We were started in 2017, but at the height of our work was in 2020. Since then, we've really blossomed into really robust services like pantry, behavioral health, mental health, housing, and a host of other services, which also include image empowerment, barber beauty shop, things like that. So again, you know, if you're ever in the Hyde Park area, come on down. We would love to have you. We have a emphasis on trans-identified individuals, but not specifically. We see everybody regardless of their community standing. So yeah, come see us.
Now, I had a question. You said, you talked about, you guys discuss identification. What does that mean?
So we have 4 pillars of dignity: health, housing, food, and identity.
What does that mean?
So when we talk about identity, we talk about who you are inherently is something to be proud of, right? So the way that we do that is, 1, through sharing space, sharing community, which is in our drop-in space, but also 2, we believe in integrated models, meaning whether you're cisgender, whether you're heterosexual, whether you're transgender, whatever, we know that our community can find joy and safety and comfort, but above all, bravery, by sharing space with each other. So when we think about the pillar of identity, we don't believe that identity is just something that is just blasé or just whatever. No, it's something to be celebrated. You have the right to be proud about being a Black, cisgender, gay, heterosexual, trans woman, we believe that that's something to be proud of. So our pillar is also in identity.
That's deep. I love it. Come on now. Tell us about you.
Oh, thank you all so much for having me. My name is Sahara Bassett. Pronouns are she, her, and hers. I am the founder and CEO of Life is Work. Similar to Brave Space, we started in 2017 with our Meals for Christmas initiative, where me and my partner created, wasn't even an organization, it was an initiative, to be honest, of us feeding the homeless during Christmas. And we started an initiative in 2017 with me and my friends organizing and going into a kitchen and being able to feed over 300 people, which morphed into the height of our services in 2020 during COVID, where we started housing. Housing is our foundation, which then went on to workforce development and health and wellness and our drop-in centers as well. But we are centered on the west side of Chicago. We service all of Chicago. Of course, we are a status neutral approach, as well as with identity. And when we say status neutral, we look at.
I was going to ask.
I know. I'm going there. When we say status neutral, we look at people from holistically for whatever approach that is that you need the services. So we're not looking at that if you're positive, if you're white, black, brown. Yes, the services are primarily focused for trans-identified people because there are no services historically ever been on the west side of Chicago for any transgender, gender diverse people. So people are being lost in the gap. And I, myself, born and raised on the Chicago west side, sat at many tables across the city and country. I have worked for many organizations and advocated for services to be on the west side for trans people. I've watched many trans people die on the west side, not even get published in a newspaper. So that's how we came about, to fill that gap. And we're filling that gap in ways of, like you say, housing, food, health, and wellness.
I also wanted to just say, when you look at the concentrated murders, they are primarily happening on the west side. So when we think about organizations like Life is Works, they fill a significant, much needed gap, because I look at the south side as, yes, it's a resource depleted area, but in terms of for LGBTQ people, with the exception of outside of the north side, we're actually doing fairly well. Mm-hmm. But when we think about the real blight that is experienced on the west side, especially with trans folks, Life is Work certainly fills that gap. So I just wanted to name that.
Yeah, and I want to say this. I want to echo that. Thank you so much, Shannon, for that. I want to say that, we not only just fill the gap, I tell people this. It's one thing to, service community, but it's another to actually be in community, service community, right? And I think that a lot of times what happens is that we have organizations that are having people, as like myself, traveling outside of lived areas to receive those resources. So that's how, things come about and why we have to fill those gaps in those areas for people to get those resources and not having to travel so far and feel comfortable and feel affirmed in those spaces as well. I'm an ED that I believe that people should have always welcoming environments that they come in. They should feel respected coming in, and they should leave thriving.
Come on, thriving. And so we got some more to go, but what does thriving looks like?
Thriving looks like what you feel thriving looks like. I don't know what thriving looks like for you. I know that I can assist you with your thriving, right? I can provide the resources for your thriving upon helping you create what that thriving looks like for you in that plan. But I think that a lot of times that what we get wrong is that organizations that we're thinking that we can create this model for people, right? And that's so far removed from the human experience, right? I can't tell you this is how your life is going to be. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I can tell you this is what I have for you. Here, I have housing. I have a food pantry back here. I got some clothes. I got a computer over here that we can go set up and start doing your resume on. We whatever you want to imagine, we can get you there. but it got to be what you want. See, my sign says life is work.
Now, come on now. I went to church twice today. Don't take me a third
Now,
time.
listen. So you have to think, we are what we stand for. Life is work and providing equity back into community, but it is what the life that you want and that you want to deserve. That's why I say you leave thriving in your way, what that envisions for you, holistic or whatever.
Now, before we go any deeper, we got to pay some bills.
Yes,
so we
do.
got this beautiful toy box. If you guys have never had a chance to be a part of the show, we do this toy box. What you do is you click on the link or you scan the code and you get a toy box. Let me rewind. This is a live show, so anything gonna go. You get tested. You get the toy box after you get tested. And what I tell people is, even if you know your status, get tested. Because there's other things that you can be tested for.
Absolutely.
That's right.
And then when you with your significant other, you got nice little toys. I used a couple before because I got a couple of boxes on my partner.
Okay.
But yeah, it's amazing.
Sharing is caring.
There we go.
Listen, he died happy, but that's another
Yeah,
story. Listen, got to keep it light because we're getting ready to go to some heavy topics. One of the things we want to talk about is just when we think of Transgender Remembrance Day, and we think of Transgender Week, like, how do you feel like it's impacted the community at large? Mm-hmm. But y'all started dipping into some other stuff. How do you feel like it's impacted communities that look like us? So let's start with the community at large, because I love, as the kids I used to work with say, I love my vanilla brothers and sisters. But how do you think the global community, but what about first? Because I know y'all got a lot to say about when it affects those who look like us. But let's talk about the global wise first. And then I want us to get into what it looks like for those who are Black and brown.
Well, so yes, right. You talked about this being Transgender Awareness Week, and we are on the heels of TDOR, aka Trans Day of Remembrance, which is on November the 20th. So, globally, first I just want to, ground us in the reality that while the language transgender feels so new to folks, transgender identities are nothing new. They have always existed. We have always seen gender expansive, gender diverse individuals throughout the annals of history, and they've been called many things, right? In the Americas, they were called two-spirited. In India, they were called the Hijra. In Thailand, they were called the Katui, and so on and so forth. So when we see the advancement of, I'll just name it, white supremacy, it erased and took away all of the complex, beautiful diversity that we held and smushed us into these two binary boxes of male, female. And we know that that could be furthest from the truth. So when we think about the escalating murders that we see throughout the world, concentrated in countries that have hyper-Christian focuses, like Brazil, for instance, we see astounding, staggering amounts of murders. When we think about this country alone, that since the year 2000 has seen well over 500 documented, and I said documented murders, that largely go unsolved. We know that there is a crisis And that crisis is typically based on the fact that individuals who see fit to harm this vulnerable population say, nobody cares, you are expendable. But above all, people say you are invisible. And I assure you, as I live and breathe and sit in front of you, there is nothing invisible about me because, well, here I am. Right?
Beautiful and all.
Thank you. So that's what I just continue to say is that this is not a new phenomenon, but folks are acting brand new. And we'll get more into that. But my sister here, Zahara, you know, again, I'm gonna shout her out. I'm gonna lift her up.
Listen, I love it.
Because
Thank you.
this is my sister. This is another fellow ED who is doing the work, and this is someone who is doing a Trans Day of Remembrance of her own that's coming up.
Oh, girl, stop it. That's just a shame.
Well, we're just saying.
Wait a minute.
It's the truth.
Now,
She is though.
now listen.
So you know.
So this is me.
Mm-hmm.
Now you gonna get the church boy.
Well, I'm a church girl myself. I'm a preacher's grandchild,
So I get it.
Yeah.
So what I will tell you is my problem is with our community is that we always talk about service
Right.
for lip service, and when we live in a world of social media, we'd rather do the things on the media of social for the picture's sake, but we ain't doing the work.
Well, that's facts, and I say that.
And ma'am, I knew your name before I saw your face.
Wow.
If I'm lying, this is a tan. I am light skinned. I'm albino if I'm lying. But it's really about how are we going to do the work.
Yes.
And again, it's not a shameless plug.
Well, no, listen. So I was gagging with her when I was saying, "Girl, no shameless plugs." I was gagging with her, but yes, but I think that we would have got into that anyway. You know, in the end of us talking of how people can support, you know, Trans Awareness Week. But I mean, of course, we can get there. But before we get there, because I wanted to amplify what she was saying there, where you know the numbers are, you know, alarmingly high when it comes to trans murders. You know, we within 2023 to 2024, the numbers have went up 6%. We are reporting globally at 350 trans murders globally. 78% of those murders are happening in North America and Colombia. I mean, in Caribbean islands are majority happening, but they are still staggering even here in the United States. So when we look at and trying to erase identities, when we look at that, trying to erase, you know, the visibility of who we are, and when we're trying to erase spaces that are not being affirming to identities, that's the problem. It's a state-sanctioned violence that's happening across the country. I stated I stated a few years back on the Federal Plaza, and I had someone, you can look it up, on Channel 5, walked up on me in the middle of me stating this, that it was a genocide on transgender lives. I stated that. That was a few years ago. And a young man interrupted me in the middle of me stating that, but I meant what I said because I knew what was happening. And it continues to happen and be perpetuated in language and conversations. Also, 1/4 of those murders, they are between the ages of 18 to 25. 15 of those were under 18 years old. So let's just put that on the table too, when we get to talking about youth.
You know, it's funny that Zahara just gave really harrowing statistics, particularly around age ranges. And I always say, by virtue of my identity, I was considered to be statistically middle-aged at the age of 33. And the reason being is because at the age of 15. And the reason being is because life expectancy for a trans woman is about 33 years old. So again, because of being transgender, I was technically middle-aged at the age of 15. That is unbelievable, right? And then that gets amplified when you are a Black person, or a brown person. And so often we hear individuals place blame when a trans woman is murdered, and they say, well, surely she had to have been doing something. The favorite is, oh, she tricked him. No. What we need to begin to do, since we're talking about conversations around sex and love and identity, is when we liberate our men to be able to love who they love and desire who they desire unapologetically, you'll create more safety for the individuals who they are attracted to. Because so oftentimes these individuals who are being killed by individuals who are dealing with such deep internalized shame that they want to literally bury their secret.
Now, so, well, damn. Now, there's a topic that we want to get out the way real early. There was a place that a lot of people didn't show up a couple of weeks ago, and we all know where it was. And people decided that a certain individual should be in charge again. Listen,
I was
Trying to-
like, were we supposed to be somewhere?
No,
I know what you're doing. Yes.
I'm trying to be politically
The
correct,
polling booth, yes.
It was 17 million to be exact. Go ahead.
but still, there were people who didn't show up, and some people didn't show up because they were uninformed.
Sure.
I know because I worked with some of them on the west side and felt like, anyway, we're not going to go into all of their policies because we're not going to speak life. However, comma, as they say, let's talk about the political climate and how with their tongues, people decide to bring life to a certain situation and decided that the way that this person thinks, the majority should think.
Sure.
How they feel as though a person's dead name should be life and should have life and be. And yeah, I know y'all know all the things, and you said you was over 15, but you're only 20 now. So let's just get into it and let's talk about how our wonderful political system, as amazing as our democracy is, when it comes to he who shall not be named, because I won't give life to you by naming you. What does that feel like as not only a person of the, I call it the Rainbow Mafia,
Sure.
as a person who is,
That's the Rainbow Mafia.
We just was joking about that statement last week on the phone. Go ahead.
and is, as a person who identifies as someone of trans, as someone who identifies as being of color, like how does all of that box make you feel and make people of your community feel that they can show up?
Okay.
And
Yeah. No, please.
I got one more.
Have at it.
And with you all saying that you have a community, as in the places that you work, where you give people life and identify, how are you supporting them in those spaces?
Okay.
Let the people know with the fourth wall.
All right. I'm gonna try to be as brief as possible because my sister is up here and you got other questions. Marginalized populations have experienced these type of barriers and challenges for so long that it's just commonplace to us at this point. Number one, like they used to say, we grow the melon but have to eat the rind. It's just very common. So, watermelon rind, right?
Oh, the
we
white
grow
part.
the melon but eat the rind, okay? That's what they say. That's what they say.
Listen, these are blind roots somewhere deep down inside. I got it from my ancestors.
So, okay. These restrictions that we may see in 2025, really honestly, whether we know it or not, is the standard that this country has held since its inception. And we have been misled to believe that this tiny little arc of history that we're in, that we've been experiencing since the mid-20th century, is status quo. When in fact, what we've been experiencing right now is just a blip. Okay? So here's what I mean for the audience who may be like, well, what does she mean? The Supreme Court that we have enjoyed, these activists, these advocates, Thurgood Marshall, we have, other folks who have defended abortion rights, Roe v. Wade, Brown versus Board of Education, Obergefell, all of these things, these are blips. But what you're going to see happen is there's going to be a return back to what has existed far before this tiny little sliver of time. You will not see another Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the Supreme Court, maybe if you're lucky for another 25 years. And again, that's if you're lucky. So as far as how this makes me feel, it makes me feel in two ways.
Talk about it.
One, it makes me feel activated because nothing gets done having a pity party wallowing. Two, it makes me feel deeply saddened for the individuals who will be lost and casualties in this war. I have an organization, I have a community, I have family, and I have friends that need to be supported, and the work has to continue. But in closing, what I will say is this: our incoming president gives society permission to be their worst selves, and that is why he won the election. Because it is so much easier to dig in and be your worst self than your highest self. It is so much easier to keep your head held down than it is for you to hold your head up, because this gives you a crick, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why we're at where we're at. Folks don't believe that this man will make your life better. Here's what scares us. People voted for him because they're saying, I don't believe he's gonna make my life better, but I do believe that he's gonna make your life worse. And I'm so glad that I'm gonna see you down here with me finally. And that is what half of the country voted for. Not because they believe him. They are tired of seeing you women, you black folks, you brown folks, you trans folks. I'm tired of seeing y'all go ahead of me. Finally, I'm gonna sick my dog on you and bring you down here with me as well. Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Well, listen, Angela Davis has spoken. Listen. For me, I'll tell you the truth, is regardless, just the whole thing has been, it's draining, it has been draining, but the hopes that I have, and I'll tell you, I don't give up on anything.
That's right.
I don't. I've been through hell and back. God knows I can write a memoir, and I'm only 40. But
And you will.
Only 40, but
And,
listen.
and you will.
Thank you. But I don't believe in giving up, and I just know that, as a leader, I've stepped over into a role to understand that we can't, change anything. I had the privilege of going to the Democratic Convention the night that Michelle and Barack spoke. And Michelle spoke that evening and said, what are we going to do about it?
That's right.
And that, for me, is what always resonated with me with anything that I go through. Well, what the hell am I going to do about it? You know what I'm saying? Am I going to sit up here? Which I did. I spent 2 days in the house. I did. I spent 2 days in the house in the bed. I got up and took my child to school, and that was about it. And, I kind of wallowed in that. But then I got up and said, okay, what am I going to do about it? And I did some calculation and a little math. And I said, okay, well then, we were still sitting in limbo though for the House, but I said, okay, if they got 208 seats in Senate, and they got 218 in the House, so you just split that down the middle, and that means that we just have to do more advocacy work. That means that we have to flip half of those people in that House to vote with Democrats for anything that we see that's fit. It's just more work to do.
That's it.
It's just, for me, that's how I looked at it. The fighter in me looked at, oh, okay. So I mean, we just have to build a stronger agenda, because most of those people in those seats does not believe in this administration that's coming in, does not agree with a lot of things that this administration is getting ready to do. And those are the people that we need to be reaching out to their constituents. You know what I'm saying? We need to be having our constituents reaching out to those elected officials that's in those counties, that's in those states. You know what I'm saying? We looking at like larger institutions like the Human Rights Campaign, Equality Illinois, you know what I'm saying? Joining with, platforms and institutions that has a broader audience that can reach within these red states and really keep us protected.
That's right.
That's the fight there, if I be honest with you. And I get it, I know it doesn't sound like, oh my God, we finna be, no, but we can't, what we gonna do? We gonna crawl up in the corner and say, whoa, it's me? Well, listen, I've been trans since I was 13 years old. I've been walking the streets since I walked the streets. My first time walking the street was at 16 when my grandmother put me out. And I'm still here. I've been kicked out of cars. I had my whole front teeth knocked out, and I know they look beautiful. But listen, I'm still here. So I know what it looks like. I know how to get there. You know what I'm saying? And resilience, you know what I'm saying, is that pick yourself up and be thankful that you're still here. Yeah, it happened, but we still here.
Wow. And I don't get speechless. Well, I do. But it's just amazing to think about, and then just thinking about as someone who should be more of an ally. Mm-hmm. What are some things that I can do? And some of the things that we can do is, you got two beautiful spaces,
yes.
One on the south side, one on the
yes.
west side, that you can volunteer.
Yes, you can. We're looking for pantry volunteers. We're looking for front desk volunteers, tabling events, outreach. We need all hands on deck. Listen, we are expecting for funding to dry up, right? Life is Work service people who are HIV positive direct service housing, as well as people who are fleeing domestic violence. We are expecting a lot of these funds to dry up. What the hell are we gonna do? So we're trying to pivot as much as we can as organizations, right? And, shifting our ways as well. But it's not gonna be an easy shift for any of us.
Yeah, so exactly what Zahara just said. Your time, talent, and treasure right? We are always looking for volunteers at Brave Space. We are looking for individuals to donate. We're looking for individuals to just shout us out, hold us in your thoughts. I think that those things are really important, but more directly, what can you do to prove yourselves to be allies? Because an ally without an action is such a dull virtue. And I think that a lot of times we use the word ally as a very cosmetic, generic term, basically to say, well, yeah, go get them, I support you. But what does that really mean, right? So think about the ways in which you interrupt violence, not just physical violence, but the things that you hear that are not okay. How do you authentically show up for trans-identified individuals, for non-binary individuals, right? How do you actually champion for them in ways that are beyond performative? How do you create space for trans-identified individuals? I'll say this, oftentimes in the LGB community, there is a very particular idea of trans people that oftentimes what folks don't want to own and realize is a perpetuation of white supremacy in and of itself.
Come on now.
Come on.
Now listen.
We are good enough to be on the stage pantomiming to your favorite songs, which is cool, but we're not good enough to be your leaders. We are good enough to be maybe somebody's fetish or something to, kind of key and laugh out, very similar to blackface, right? But God forbid we take seats of power and authority. The reason why this incoming administration is so adept and so hell-bent on fleecing our rights is because collectively, individuals have made us the last acceptable group to laugh at.
And
right?
let's just say, we are the last to laugh at, right? But we were the first to start this whole movement.
Yes.
So when you look back at when you look back at history and you say, trans, well, history's told, and I don't think nobody in this room probably was there, or old enough to be there, but history is told that Marsha P. Johnson, Cyril Rivera, and a host of other trans, non-binary, and queer people started this revolution of this identity of this spectrum of the LGBTQIA+ because of what they were doing to drag queens, quotation, on what they were calling them, drag queens, men that dressed up late at night, and they were throwing them in the back of trucks and hauling them down to central booking. And they happened to go to that bar again, keep antagonizing that bar, which was the only gay bar in New York. And it took a drag queen, a trans-identified person, to step up and throw a brick. But somehow, some way, that T became silent.
That's right.
And all the other rights within that spectrum became popularized to say, okay, these are what we need to do. But forget about them over here, the ones who actually stepped up for us, that actually took that beating and then threw that brick, because you would have had to know if she threw that brick, something else came from behind it.
Well, this is a mighty
Just a
good place
history woman
to...
today. I'm just bringing people back into, I'm just saying, this is where we're at. I believe in numbers. I believe in, speaking facts. Like, listen, this is what happened. And let's not ignore that. You know what I'm saying? Let's not ignore how, the rights of all the other, within this, what we say, LGBT mafia, The T is still silent. It's still on the menu. It's still on the chopping block. And no equity has been really truly given to the ancestors, to the people who have actually started this. No true equity has been given. No true appreciation has ever been given.
Well, it can't be given if you don't know it. And so the real problem is people don't do their research, they don't know. So they'll never grow.
I think people do know it. Let me tell you something.
Tell me about
Here's
it.
what I think. I think that people do know it. I think no matter how much we want to believe ourselves to be advanced as a society, we love hierarchy. We just do. We love being exclusionary. We do. It makes us feel powerful. It makes us feel special. If you know what I believe personally, this is just my own conjecture. I believe oftentimes black and brown folks, I'm just gonna say black folks, we ideate a world without white people. We really just want to evict the landlord but keep his house. Truth be told. We really do. And then if we did have a world without white folks, you know what would happen? We would create another hierarchy and caste system within that has already been demonstrated.
So they got to be led.
That's all. Some people really honestly only want to liberate you just to put you on their plantation. And I think a lot of times individuals who say that they want to be leaders really just want their turn to hold the whip.
Right.
And I think that so oftentimes we see that whip being placed on the back of trans people. So, you know,
And
but
that's
what's
what
your next
happened
question?
I'm gonna have to move along because time is escaping. And
We still gotta get to this toy box.
Right.
see, you know how to segue to a beautiful place. So with the toy box, it's this wonderful thing called I think we got a video. Oh, we got a video.
What are you doing tonight?
Hey Eric, Project BDAC is doing the Toy With Me party on Zoom.
Nice. What's that all about?
They focused on this and sex positive topics, and they're going to be offering free home HIV testing kits to Sinai Infectious Disease Center.
HIV home test kits. How does that work?
So they're going to share a link in the chat where you can sign up to get your home test kit.
Okay, I've been wanting to get tested, but I didn't really want to leave the house.
I feel you. You just give them your contact info, and someone from Sinai will contact you to send out your free home HIV testing kits. They'll put it in an unmarked box to your mailbox.
Okay, then I do the test by myself? This sounds kind of difficult.
It's not that hard. Once you get the test kit, it's pretty easy. Just follow the step-by-step directions, and you'll get your results in about 20 minutes. Let Sinai know that you took the test and what your results were, and you can even call them and they'll walk you through it. Sinai will then contact Project Vita to let them know that you took the test, and they'll send you out a complimentary gift bag.
Can they also help me access PrEP and any other sexual health needs?
Yeah, of course. Sinai partner up with Project Vita to provide sexual health education, prevention tools, and medical treatment to the community. And they have lots of services too.
Sounds awesome. I definitely want to go and get tested at home, and I'll do the Toy With Me party too.
And we're back, y'all. So we're gonna do a quick rapid fire, first thing that come to your brain. So it's a this or that. So would you rather have sex with the lights on or off?
I don't care.
I'm off. Turn everything off. I do not want to see you. I don't want you to see me too much because I'm dark skinned or something like that. But yeah, turn them off.
Listen, that's a turn on for me.
Well, no, I'm just being honest. Like, because I think I'm a closeted kind of like sexual being. I don't really, like, even when I got the call to come talk about it, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to do that. I'm like, more like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
So-
on for me, on. I would say on. Yeah.
So we'll say intimate or wait. When it comes to the mood, do you initiate it, the conversation, or you wait for the other person to do it?
I wait. I believe in that. There's an African proverb that says the lady sits and the man comes.
I need you to say that into the mic. Say that into the mic.
It said there's an African proverb that says the lady sits and the man comes.
Over and over again.
Yes.
What about
So
you?
I have similar, the same thing, what I just always tell people. I'm a cat, so I like to be, rubbed and purred. So, yeah, I don't really believe in initiating too much of anything. You know how, like, cats will rub up against you and stuff like that, or, like, I'm that type of person. Like, I will not so much initiate it, but kind of give the signs.
Because if you don't get,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, well, you clearly aren't paying attention.
Yeah.
You over here.
Yeah, so it's like, I wouldn't, like, I'm not going to walk up to you and just
No.
start unbuttoning your pants like some off a movie or something. Like, no, I'm not
if
going
I'm
to do
sitting
that.
here like, hey,
Yeah.
So since we going there, so what kind of cues do you like? When you in the mood, do you do verbal or nonverbal? I feel like y'all just said y'all both nonverbal.
Very nonverbal.
Nonverbal.
I am. I'm very nonverbal.
I'm a scooter.
Because I think sometime, like, I've had my guy,
I'm a
like,
scooter.
I've had my guy, like, say something, it just turned me off. You know, like, I don't know if we can talk like that.
Well, that's what we're here for.
All right, I'm like, like somebody say, give me some ass. People like, what the hell? Like, boy, you know, yeah.
Well, that's because you're alpha.
It is.
I think
Thank
so.
you.
That is it.
Thank you.
You know, okay, I know the audience might be like, so, you know, I'm going to temper myself. Oh, man. Look, if you're over my house, it's a particular time. You know, look, we're grown. You know why you're here. I know why I'm here. I need you to hurry up and do something because I'm not going to initiate. After a while, I'm going to initiate you out the door. But that's pretty much, yes, like, yeah.
Well, I'm just a little virgin, so.
So I like cuddling though a lot too, if I be honest. Like I do.
I'm
I
a
like
virgin today. I ain't touched myself or nobody else. Okay.
Listen.
So we're gonna move right along.
Yes. There we go.
So afterwards, do you want to cuddle,
Depends.
or
I
do you
am.
want to say, stay away?
I want to cuddle. I want to be held always. I'm just being honest, but it depends too. Like if I'm not feeling you, like it depends. Like if it's just well now I'm single, so I can But if it's just like a drive-by, like I know for a fact, because I'm at the age now that I know what drive-bys really are, and I like you know when you're young, when
Wait a minute. Dry what?
drive-bys,
What that?
one night stands.
Oh, okay.
Drive.
Listen.
Yeah, drive-bys. Like you just
Oh no, I thought you
Drive-by.
said drive-bys.
No,
I was like,
drive-bys.
oh, that's something
no,
new that I
drive-bys. Like listen, you in and out. It's a drive-through, baby. It's in and out. So, if I'm doing a drive-by, like if it's a drive-by, then it's a little different. But like you know, when you're a young, impressionable woman of trans experience, at times I would say from my experience that I used to have this thing where my mama used to say, "If you fuck me, you suck with me." It was like that for me. Like when I was younger, like oh my God, this is my boyfriend. I'm into it with all the girls over him. You know, whole bit, right? So now I've gotten to the age to understand what drive-bys are. Like not every man you have sex with is your man, right? So if I'm like that, then yeah, you can go and get out and we ain't gotta cuddle. But if I like you, I want to cuddle.
Yeah, you know, for me it depends, but it's really interesting.
Tell me more.
You know, I'm forward, but in a much different way. You know who I think I put me in the mind of?
Who?
Jasmine Guy in Harlem Nights. When she was with, you know, how she was just like, you know, Vernice Brown. You know, I'm a person where I'm looking, like if we're sitting down, we're vibing, we're having a good time, I may just simply interrupt us and say, you look like someone I would love to have an experience with me. That's it, right? I would love to honor you with an experience with me.
You know, I like that.
Absolutely.
You sound so
you would
educational.
want to have an experience
have
with
an
me.
experience with me.
It's an experience with me.
What the hell are we
It is
talking
an
about?
experience.
No.
Yes.
When I tell
sister.
you,
You want an experience? You should.
Tell somebody that like, you should
Yes,
have an
ma'am.
experience with
oh,
Yes, I am experience worthy.
It sounds like one of those movies I watched a while ago.
No.
It's like
When
futuristic music.
when I tell you
Yes.
how much that is real,
It's an experience.
real words.
Uh-huh.
So my Onyx name is Legendary Onyx, and I tell people, they was like, "Why are you called Legendary?" I said, "Because I give a legendary experience every single time."
Oh, come on. Come up with that legendary experience.
But the thing is this. In any type of thing that you're approaching, you need to walk into a space like you would want to have an experience with me. Whether that's hiring me, whether that's having me, whether that's whatever, you would want to experience me. I'm Shannon Lynn Parker. Are you crazy?
Listen.
I know. When I tell you, I as one of my friends used to say, I overstand. I believe in when it comes to intimacy or just a drive-by, I want you to be alone in your room and it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you can't call or text anyone and you close your eyes and you think about how Legendary has touched you, tasted you, molested you, caressed you to the point that
Well, not the molesting part. No, we ain't gonna.
it
not
depends.
That part. No.
Oh, no. So one of the things that we tell our pledges is consent is sexy.
Consent is yes.
And so
consent is
I'm going to rub, so I also do spoken word. So one of the lines, and it's not a real line, I told someone one time, I want to play a symphony on your spine. And so if you think about it, a person's spine looks
You're the
like
type
the
of man that would
keys.
scare me. See, you're the type of man that I would run
looks
from.
like-
Because this sound like I'm like, this motherfucker gonna blow my whole mind. Let me get the hell out of here.
It looks like the key. If you think about a person's spine, it's just like the key.
Right, that's what I just thought about when you said it. I'm like, you scares me. It's like, you scare-
But you know something else too, I will say this. As trans women, there's a couple of schools of thought. One, that we are just ready, willing, down for whatever, right? That men oftentimes feel like they can just use us for their sexual gratification, that we are not feeling sentient beings that have emotions beyond that. But then there's also the ilk of individuals who feel that if you have us, we're going to get uber attached to you. You're not going to be able to shake us off. Neither is the truth. There are those of us who are able to separate after we've had and go back to being homies very easily.
Church and state.
And then there are those of us who are just like, well, wait a minute, you are going to kiss me before you know what me. You know, so again, if you met one trans person sexually, you've met one trans person. There is no blanket one size fits all.
But see, that's a bigger issue that we ain't got enough time for.
We don't.
Yeah.
Because then we could discuss the fact of everyone is the same, but if we're going to, I talked about.
But we're not the same, I would say, because every experience is different.
Every experience is
See,
different.
that experience.
Yeah, every experience is different. I mean, you may have an experience with her that may be enjoyable. You may have an experience with me that may blow your goddamn mind and say, wait a minute, I didn't know that she had all that up in her. But I mean, listen, I mean, every experience is different for everybody, everyone,
Okay.
And it can be, I tell people this, because even with sizes, when we say sizes, like, I'm not big on judging people on sizes, because I'm like, girl, please, that don't mean nothing. Like that, right?
That makes you think that you're going to, I need this. You're not about to be tearing me up.
But it's the...
Listen, you know what? Here's what I was going to say really fast. No, she is falling, y'all. We imagine when we sit on the phone with each other. Okay, I'm gonna tell you something. You want to know the deepest, the most conflicted individual I've ever dealt with? So heterosexual men, yes, cis-het men certainly are just like, oh my God, I'm attracted to you. What does this make me? But you know who really has gone through it? Gay men. Because gay men feel like, what does this mean that I am attracted to you? This is crazy to me. Like, am I still gay? Like, that's going to take my gay card? Am I just a different type of gay? Like, I don't know what this means. A heterosexual man can kind of be like, okay, well, you're just another type of woman. But I think a gay man really freaks out because he has this whole identity crisis around, what the fuck does this...
Well, if we're
And I've experienced it on a few occasions.
Well, the
and
real-
I'm like, let's just find out.
Well, the real problem is their own identity that they don't really know themselves, and
Of
so
course.
they only know who society has told them what.
But why do you need to know? Why can't you just
Explore.
want to have a lovely soul?
I personally think sex is fluid.
I do too.
I think sex is fluid. I think that it does not have an identity to it. It does not have, you know what I'm saying? Like, sex is fluid for whatever you feel and whatever you want to go with. I don't think that it has restrictions and limitations to it. And like you say, it's consensual, the consensual piece. You know what I'm saying? If it's two adults people that are or into groups or whatever into it, into each other, it should be as fluid and there shouldn't even be judgment on it or anything else.
Agreed. I don't kiss and tell either.
No, I
That's
don't
not me
believe in that.
hinting. I'm just saying.
I'm
I
just
don't.
being. Miss Parker is.
Now listen, Miss Parker.
No, I'm-
Miss Parker, Miss Parker. Listen,
Yes.
if you play your card, everything gonna be all right with me. Now, y'all brought up a good point. Now, it's about the tip.
Okay.
You gotta have a good tip. I think we need to talk about just the tip.
Okay.
Let's play together. Let's play together. The art of role play. Let's play together. The art of role play. Start by choosing a scenario that excites both partners and aligns with your comfort levels. Open communication is key. Discuss boundaries, safe words, and expectations beforehand to ensure both parties feel safe and enthusiastic. This shared creativity can help deepen trust and make the experience more engaging and enjoyable. Some examples are strangers at a bar, hero and villain, boss and employee, secret agent and the spy.
Perfect, and that has been just the tip. And that's some things to think about when it comes to role playing. Think about consent and making sure that the two of you have those conversations, making sure that a safe word is always, because like you have to be careful. If you're in the open and you having certain conversations, like I know someone who is into our wordplay, and or they enjoy being chloroformed.
Oh.
And they said that is the individual who enjoys being chloroformed, they have a consent, non-consent relationship with that individual. And so they enjoy being knocked out. And they was like, after several nuts later, it was amazing. And I said, oh. So that's the relationship they have. Some of the things you have to think about and how does...
So I want to be clear. You say they enjoy being knocked out.
Chloroform.
Chloroform.
Yeah.
So they
How do
wanted
they
to.
come? Well, okay.
Wait. So because you have to explain that. Because I'm like, were they able to be still like active, like
That's what I'm like,
within that?
No.
You can't be. You just
Okay.
in a coma.
No, they loved it. So
Okay,
they
I mean,
had
don't-
someone...
I'm just inquisitive now. like
Listen.
I'm not going
So-
to yuck that young.
Child, forget the notes.
Yeah, I get it.
They had it on a rag,
Civil War teams.
put it on their face, and then they were pillow princess, and they said it was some of the best sex that they've ever had.
But how do they know? They knocked out.
Oh, they said they came to a couple of times, and they came.
You can't.
So that's what I wanted to know. Like, wouldn't you? Because I'm trying to find the proper terms
I get
that I
what
would
you're
be.
saying.
I want to use properly. Doesn't chloroform affect like your muscles or nervous system or something like that?
Now you asking questions that I ain't that smart.
Okay.
But again, it's about as we often say, it's about consent is being sexy.
That's it.
It's about your own relationship.
Right.
And there's some things that I've done where I had certain acts that I did, and it turned me on. So like in my everyday life, I'm a nerd or geek or whatever you want to say, but every now and then I like a thug.
Right.
And so if you give that like whole
So, honey,
thug
don't we all?
mentality, yellow.
You know what I do have a barrier with though? So I typically like men my age or a little bit older, and the only reason why, it's because I was a youth worker for so many years that I see everybody in their 20s as like, now I have this weird mental block. I'm just like, oh my God, and what's so weird is young people really like me, and it's the weirdest thing, and I'm just like, get out of here. But yeah, no.
I mean, I've been there. I've worked at my current organization for over almost 10 years, well, almost 9 years. So I understand being with youth. And
Yeah.
I've been working with youth since I was 19 in some capacity, but it's about consent and it's about having those
Sure.
conversations.
Oh, God, yes.
And if it's a no for you, it's a no for
An
you.
adult. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
But back to the toy box. Make sure that if you can either walk in and get tested, or you can click on the link, get tested as soon as possible.
Listen, they got ropes and chains over here too, honey.
Listen, I built my whole kink
Right.
collection sometime
This
from
box
this
is
wonderful
really
toy
cute.
box. I got folks sitting on my
You
back
all gotta
porch
stop.
at
And
home.
look, I mean, for the femmies, they even got a little dress in there, a little nightie for you too. Walk-in testing and appointments. Listen, get the number at the bottom of the screen there.
Or you can email. It is amazing. It's been an amazing time. We'll see you guys back on the third Sunday of the month. I had the pleasure of being with Shannon and Zahar. I appreciate you all. Thank you guys. Have an amazing day.
Bye.
Bye.